Welcome back to another episode of RNT Fitness Radio. I hope you've had an amazing Christmas and got to spend some real quality time with your family and friends. Today on the Boxing Day special, we're doing something different whereby I've been put on the hot seat by the Hitman Nathan Johnson and interviewed in a question and answer format about anything and everything. I've tried to be as open as possible and I think you guys are going to find this interesting. So without further ado, let's dive in. Cool, so do you want to tell the listeners what we're doing today?
Yes, I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of put Akash on the spot and do some questions with him. He's normally the one asking questions, so it's time to ask him some questions. And I think you guys, probably a lot of people fanboy him enough, and he's got a bit of a following himself. So it's time for you to get and find out a bit about him. Because literally, I went to a shoot on the weekend with Johnny, and he brought his friend who you knew from school, and the guy started telling me facts about you that I didn't even know from on Instagram. And watching all your stuff since you started, so literally you have a fan club.
Wow. So okay, I didn't know that.
yeah, you got the Vaghela fan club.
Let's not get too carried away.
Yeah. So we're just going to start with some questions. Just start rolling them because we're going to try and make it as funny as possible, but also just get a bit about you in there as well. So first one is hot or cold.
Sorry, hot or cold?
Hot or cold?
Hot.
Okay. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Fair enough. If you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Ooh. Calories don't matter.
So is this one type of food or a meal?
You can either call it a recipe or, one, like cheesecake is a recipe, right?
Okay. Let's go with a food item. So if we have to pick one specific ingredient, I'd probably say rice.
A classic.
If it was one ingredient, that is. Just because I was thinking, I actually thought about this a couple of weeks ago. Like, what would there be one food? What would it be? And I'd probably go with rice, just because whenever I go away, after a few days or so, if I'm in like a European city, where they don't really do much rice, it's all potatoes and things. It's the one food I start missing in my day. And I remember telling you when I was in Thailand the other week, I was saying, I think, I'm eating rice every meal and I'm feeling really energetic. So maybe that. I mean, if it was a meal, if there was one thing I could have all the time, forever, it'd be a toss-up probably between like chicken biryani, just because it's chicken and rice, basically, or maybe sushi. Again, because it's basically fish and rice.
Oh, that's definitely nature versus nurture right there, isn't it? Genetics versus environment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's a decent one. Yeah, but what type of sushi though? Are you more of the rolls, or are you more of the sashimi? Or
I'm more of the rolls. I like the rice on the outside. So is it uramaki? I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, rice on the outside. I like salmon and avocado or tuna and avocado.
Yeah, that's a good show.
And spicy variations are good, as long as they're not too spicy.
Yeah. Are you
I also like the eel variations. They're really nice.
Oh, branching out.
Yeah.
Are you a soy sauce person as well? Are you wasabi?
Soy sauce.
Yeah, always. You can't have the wasabi.
Yeah, I love soy sauce. I mean, my favorite thing to do is with every rice meal I have, I put soy sauce in the rice. It's like a non-negotiable.
You having that salt pump that we were talking about on the team call?
That's exactly it. I'm off that salt pump.
And that brings on to the next question, actually, the favourite condiment. Would you say soy sauce is your favourite condiment?
Soy sauce, no doubt.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. I literally put that on every meal, or as in, if a meal has rice in it, I'm going to put that in. I'm not going to be putting it on my oats or anything like that, but yeah, for sure, soy sauce.
Best travel destination so far?
I mean, I just came back from Thailand, which was amazing. Would I put it as my number one? Probably not. Although I would say Phi Islands was pretty incredible, just because there's nothing really like it in terms of green. Oh, it's almost like green waters. It was like a different color. Clear skies, amazing beaches. That'd be up there. I mean, we started talking about Amsterdam. That'd also be up there. I really like Amsterdam. I think it's such a chilled place, such a cool vibe about it. I really enjoy Los Angeles. I think that's an amazing city. But thinking the number one, Mumbai is up there as well. We were talking about it last night. I think the food in Mumbai is incredible, and I think the buzz that you get in the city is like no other place on earth. Masai Mara in Kenya was amazing. I went there when I was 13. I think that's still one of the best holidays I've been on. So that's up there. But you want me to say one?
Yeah, you got to pick, man. You can't be indecisive. And big up our Kenyan crew that are probably listening to this as well.
Yeah, big up the Kenyan crew. The Kenyan family in RNT is growing, you know?
Yeah, and they are jacked.
Yeah.
there isn't a skinny Kenyan between them. None of them are marathon runners. They're all Asians that have got all over 80 kilos mass.
Yeah, they're seriously jacked. I mean, it's amazing that we've got a good RNT reach in Kenya. Yeah, Masai Mara is incredible. I mean, I remember when I went, I saw like a line of zebras on one side of the field, or like the plain, and then a couple of was it leopards or cheetahs on the other side? Maybe like 200 meters on the other side, and they were just lining them up. And the next thing you saw is just they just chased them down. And it was the most amazing thing to see. And it's probably the only like highlight I can really remember from it, because it was like nearly 15 years ago. But it's still one of the most incredible travel experiences I've had. It's just seeing like, you know, nature in action in the realest effect. Okay, we're gonna have to go for one. I'm gonna go with Mumbai.
Fair enough, that's good. Yeah. I can't wait to go, actually.
Yeah, I want to go again next year. I can't wait. I think it's such an amazing place.
Yeah, and to be fair, the flights between Mumbai and Goa, because obviously I was thinking about going to Goa, they're like £25. So you can go and get around India quite quickly.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a 10-hour train, but I don't really want to do that.
No, I don't do the train.
Everyone's like, oh, can I save money on the train? It's like, no, don't do it.
And I'd also recommend not doing the £6 hostel in Mumbai. I don't know what you're going to get with that.
I know, but the pictures look good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a risky one. I'll leave that to you.
I've got to keep my budget.
That's true. Yeah. I genuinely think, like, I know it's expensive, but I would at least do one night in the Taj, just for the experience. I think it's the most amazing customer experience you'll ever have. And whenever you go to any hotel now, that's like the benchmark. I mean, which is a high benchmark to have. But if you're looking for like customer experience, that's the best place I've ever seen or experienced.
Have you done the Burj Al Arab?
No, I haven't done that, no.
Oh, so I've done the Burj Al Arab, which is 6-star. Did afternoon tea there.
Yeah.
But that was good. Well, they kept bringing me scones and sandwiches, so I was having a great time.
Yeah, get afternoon tea at the Taj as well. That's amazing. Yeah. And the breakfast there is also really good.
Sweet. I bet they do paneer as well. That'd be fantastic.
They do, and they also do at 6 p.m. every day. They do cognac and chocolate or something like that in one of the lounges. So they give you these really expensive cognacs with like really nice dark chocolate, which is, I mean, the cognac tastes like cough syrup because it's so strong. So you try and act cool drinking it, but really you're just
you're dying inside.
You can't handle it,
fake it till you make it. Akash, keep it fake it till you make it. Favorite exercise?
Favorite exercise? RDL.
Classic.
Yeah. Second one would be floor press. But yeah, that goes. Yeah, RDL is easily my most favorite exercise. It gives you the most. Most bang for my buck and most pleasure, as you would say.
Yeah. Here's a controversial one. Favorite RNT transformation? You have to choose.
Oh, have to choose, right? Number one.
Have to choose. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Sham.
Classic. That's a good one.
And the reason why would be, I think it's always gonna have a special place for me, just because it was one of the first ones we did as RNT, and it almost put us on the map, per se. And it created such a big domino effect around the different communities and it inspired so many people that, for me, that will always be my favorite one, just for the impact it created. I don't think any other transformation I've been part of has had that level of impact with so many different people.
Yeah, it was a culture change as well, wasn't it? Well, it added to the culture change.
Yeah, it just showed people that, for example, if you're Asian, that you can still get into amazing shape. And if you're just a normal guy who works in the city and has average genetics, has lost his way, you can get yourself back into shape and achieve amazing results. And I think when we did it, we didn't really do it with the intention that it ended up having. I mean, it was only at the end when we got the pictures and we were like, wow, this has real, like, potential to change a lot of lives, and it has. I mean, I remember the amount of phone calls I got after it saying, I want to look like Sean. And it's people that have gone on to have amazing transformations in themselves with RNC and have then gone on to inspire more people. So it's just had a really like inspirational domino effect that I don't think any other transformation I've been part of has had.
Yeah, it's much more than the physical.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's a deep one. One trait or habit that you'd want to give to your kids.
Is this one trait I have or one trait that I'd want them to have, or just anything?
Yeah, one trait that you'd like to give them, like either through yourself or...
Yeah, okay. Probably be to be real. And what that means is they should never settle. They should always be real to themselves about what they want in their life, what they're passionate about, and live a life that they're truly excited about. I think, I'm big about following your passion. And I think I want my kids to do the same and to be real about themselves in what they want in anything. And this is not just applied to your career, but, in your relationships or with your friends or even what you do in your leisure time. Anything that you want to do, just do it by being real and what you want to actually do rather than what society thinks you should do.
Yeah, it's rather looking inside and thinking about what you want,
exactly,
rather than what social or economic position you're in or environment that you're in. It's really important to be not influenced by others in a way that you don't want to be influenced. Like be in control of yourself, and then people can input in the right ways. But
yeah, I mean, you're a good example of it. What you've done recently is you said to yourself, okay, next year I'm going to give up my lease on my house. And I'm going to just travel 5 days a week, every week for what, 6 months you said?
Yeah, to start with 6 months, but I've already booked more flights, so it's going to be a year.
So you said, okay, a year, I'm going to live like a nomad, and I don't care what anyone else says. This is the first thing I'm going to do is, do this travel experience that I want to do, and the rest will follow, whether that's even with work, right? The work's got to fit around that. You've put yourself first and just said, okay, this is what I want to do. Now everything else has got to work around this. And I think that's great, because if you don't put yourself first, then someone else will do it for you.
Yeah, very, very true. Right. Worst mistake?
I mean, I'll give you one, which will then give you the principle around it. One of my worst mistakes, I think, looking back, is not starting RNT sooner. I've procrastinated. I talked about it. Someone asked me this on story yesterday, right? What was one thing you changed in 2018? And I've procrastinated on making hard decisions a lot throughout my life, and that have led to growth thereafter. And it's one of the biggest mistakes I made this year, which was procrastinating, making a hard decision, having a difficult conversation with people. But I'll also say not starting RNT is probably one of the biggest ones I've done, because there was about 2 years of procrastination that went into that. I had the idea to leave where I previously worked 2 years before I actually did. I had all these different business ideas. I started various little side projects that never really took off, but just kind of tickled my fancy. Like I was going to open a lounge at one point. I had this t-shirt business I wanted to do, and all these different things. But what it really was pointing at was that I needed to leave where I was at and start my own business. So it took me 2 years to do it, and I wish I took that plunge earlier and just embraced that fear a lot quicker, because it is a lot of it is to do with fear, right? So I wish I kind of embraced that earlier and made that jump quicker. But that said, it's all a lesson, and everything that's come before that point has shaped me to where I am now. So while I need to get better at making hard decisions, I think I'm getting better. I think I'm getting quicker than taking 2 years to do it.
That could actually go back to your trait question, couldn't it? And what would you like to give to your kids? It'd be like, embrace fear. That'd be a good one.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big one, because usually if you're what I found anyway is if a decision has a lot of fear wrapped up around it, then it's usually has a lot of potential for growth on the other side.
Yeah, that's perfect. the biggest tip for, so I personally like the way you write, and a lot of people do like the way you write, and the way that the case studies are written and all the information that we give out at RNT is fantastic. But it's not the information that we're giving is really like the main part. It's how it's delivered is in any circumstances probably the most important thing. And the way you write is fantastic. What is the biggest tips, 3 tips you could give to writers or people that want to create content right now that they make it like you? You know, whether it's the T Nation articles, the stuff that we produce at RNT, or just the daily emails that you write to your clients, which I think, you know, underpins half the majority of the reason why you get results is the way you write.
So firstly, thank you. Writing is probably my biggest passion when it comes to the business, in that every morning, as you know, I start the day with writing, and I probably spend at least 60 to 90 minutes every morning writing, sometimes up to 3 hours. And, you know, most of the way we've grown the business has been through writing and producing written content. So it's a big part of my life, and I'm getting more into writing, not just about fitness, but in other areas of life as well. So it's one thing I want to dedicate more time to, but at the same time, we're still in that stage where most of it has to be written for business development. But in the future, I'd like to dive into different areas. That said, I mean, the best tip for writers is really just to write every day and make it a habit. And it's really as simple as that. And I remember reading a piece of advice on writing a while ago, which said, every day you should write 200 crappy words, which means it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, just write 200 words every single day. And 200 words isn't much, right? It's maybe a quarter of a page, maybe a quarter to a third of a page. It's not much at all. And if you do 200 crappy words a day, and you make it into a habit, you'll find that you get better at expressing yourself, and more importantly, you'll find your own voice, which is what, you know, having a unique style to your writing is all about, is finding your own voice. And that only comes with time and, you know, putting in the yards with your writing. And it's also key when you're writing is not to worry about what other people think, and just really sometimes just write anything and whatever comes to your mind. And that's probably the best way to just start it. So you don't need to publish it. Just start by writing every day. And then when the time's right, you might want to start publishing it, get feedback, and then use that to drive further pieces of writing. But to begin with, write every day, make it a habit, and focus on 200 crappy words a day.
That's cool. That important, that note about, you know, don't think what other people want to write, or don't think about what other people think. I think I have a lot more empathy for that type of quote, trying to do the vlogs at the moment, trying to do the travel vlogs, and you're constantly worried about what people think about you writing or what you're doing in video. You know, at the end of the day, you need to be you, and you need to express yourself.
Yeah, this is something I struggled with a lot as well, because before I started RNT, I was very private in everything I did. I never posted on social media before. I never really, and everything I did, written work, was always done for someone else or done for like a project. It was never like my own pieces of writing or anything like that. So I had that same fear, was that when everything I published, I used to send it to 3 different people and be like, hey, what do you think of this writing? Is it good enough? And then I realized that, you know, it was my duty to hit publish on my piece of work. And that if I wanted to get my message spread out there, I had to overcome this fear and just get it out there. And I think that's a big part of it. And I think everyone will struggle with this in the beginning. And now it's a lot easier for me to just kind of write something and put it out there. But for a long period of time, it wasn't that case. So I think that will apply to everyone. And another thing is that when I look at my writing now, it's a lot different to how I was a couple of years ago. I mean, before, coming from like a scientific degree background, everything I used to write in a very scientific fashion, which would have long blocks of text, and it was really boring to read. It had no real like kind of personality behind it. So another thing I'd say for writing is, you know, don't write in massive blocks, and inject your personality into your writing, because otherwise it can be really boring to read.
And that's one of the things that you give me when we first started working together. And you write some articles, like, okay, cool. Like, I'm really crap at writing articles, and you said to me, like, tell a story.
Yeah.
like ever since I did that, my work became a lot less about the text and the research.
Yeah, I mean, the tech and the research is boring. I mean, we know ourselves. I mean, I tell you this a lot, that I don't think I know that much about training nutrition as other people. I know, but being able to communicate your message, and especially to your clients, is a whole different skill. And I think that's the most important one to have as a coach. I don't think you need to know everything there is to know about training, nutrition, supplementation, all of that. Really, we know that the basics is what gets you the furthest, right? It's about communicating that message with your client or with your audience and being able to put it in a digestible manner that's told through a story. Because if you can relate your own experiences to it, it becomes suddenly the writing becomes so much more relatable and applicable to people's lives. If it's just if it's written in a textbook format, it's going to just bore people, and it's not relatable in any way for people to then think, okay, I'm going to take action as well, or I'm going to listen to what my coach has said because he can relate to me.
The relatability is a massive one. Massive. So we'll move on to some other ones now. Cats or dogs?
Neither, you know. And this is that. So I know you're a big guy, you're a big pet guy, but remember I was telling you that when we moved into the house that I'm living in '98, I was always ill, right? So I was always ill, and I was wondering, you know, my parents were like, why is this guy always got a cold and always coughing? So we went to the doctors and had allergy tests done, and the previous owners had 2 cats and 2 dogs or something like that, and it turns out I was allergic to dogs, cats, rabbits, you know, all furry animals, and then obviously the usual things like dust, pollen, long grass, short grass. But because I was, I was only 6 years old and I was allergic to cats and dogs, I kind of just stayed away from them, right? And I associated them with illness, and it's just carried on now. So now I'm not like against them now. I'm just really indifferent. And I don't really have a preference, or I would never have a pet as a dog or a cat. Which doesn't mean I don't like them. I'm just indifferent to them now.
Fair enough.
So sorry about that.
It's fine. You probably need to stay away from Kunal's facial hair as well then. Here's one. Back to the traits and habits. One habit or trait that you wish you don't have, but you wish you do. One trait that you don't have that you wish you had.
I'd say it's the ability to know when to back off. Something I'm working on, but knowing when to like push and like step on the gas in anything, and then knowing when to pull back, and that dynamic relationship you have between the two is what I'm trying to learn. And I think it's it's something I'm probably never going to master just because of the nature of my personality. But it's something I think it's important to do, because otherwise I can see myself, running into, burnout or running myself into the ground too often, which I have done in the past. So while it's a strength to a certain extent, because it means I can act and move with speed, it's also probably my downfall as well, because I don't back off, and sometimes I don't just switch off, which, it's a cliche as, you need to learn how to switch off, but I think sometimes I do, and I just need to chill out sometimes and be happy with what I've got rather than constantly trying to push forward.
Fair enough. Hit or list?
List.
Yeah, stepper all the way. Here's the best question of the whole time, and I'm really looking forward to you answering this. What job would you have if you followed the straight career Asian path?
I'd be a lawyer. So I don't know if you know the story of my career path, but do you know it?
You were a rubbish trainer, now you're a good one.
That's it. That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my all my life I wanted to be, up to the age of 18. I always wanted to be a lawyer, and it was because my dad was a lawyer. So I always thought I need to follow in my father's footsteps, and that's the best way to go in my career trajectory. And up to the age of 18, and I was completing my personal statement for law, completing my application for it. And then I realized that it was at the same time I just started getting into weight training and fitness, and I became immediately hooked by it. As soon as I started training, all I was doing was reading about training. I used to spend my free periods at school on websites. This was like when T Nation was in its old days. Like I used to spend all my free time reading T Nation and different magazines and buying books on strength training. And I was obsessed with everything I did was weight training. But at the same time, I'd done work experience in Mumbai, in Germany, in different firms in London, in different law firms, right? Because I wanted to be a lawyer. And then it got to the point where I was in a free period with one of my best friends, and I was reading another article, and he goes to me, "Why don't you make this a career? Like, why don't you choose fitness as a career?" And I said to him, "There's no career in fitness, right? What are you going to do in the fitness industry?" And he said, "No, look into it." So I did look into it, and then I saw there was like a degree called sports science, and that it was actually a scientific degree. It wasn't just like a PE lesson, which is like the common stereotype that you get. And and that there were other people who were making careers out of fitness. So I looked into it more, and then I remember deciding that this is what I need to be doing. So I went home and I said to my parents, I don't think I want to do law anymore. I want to do sports science, and I want to go into the fitness industry. Now, you can imagine what the reaction was coming in an Asian family, where if you're not doing law, finance, banking, or medicine, then you're pretty much considered weird, or an outcast. And the first thing they said to me was, "How are you going to pay the bills?" And I had no real idea how I was going to pay the bills. I just knew that this is what I wanted to do, and somehow I was going to make it work. So I talked them around it and showed them that it was a real science degree and a scientific career I wanted to go into. So they were on board. And then I went through to my head of year and told him that I want to withdraw my application to study law and study sports science instead. And, he was a bit confused as well, because I was the only one in the school who was doing it. And, he made a couple of condescending remarks, but it was, I knew what I wanted to do. And so, the rest is history, and I went into the fitness industry, and here we are now. But if it wasn't for that, and probably if it wasn't that initial push from one of my friends, we wouldn't be here having this podcast today, and I'd probably be hating my life in a law firm somewhere. So weight training really did change my life in every possible way, and it's one of the reasons why I see so much power behind the positive impact that weight training can have in your life.
Cheers to that. Going on from that, who's the most influential or most impactful person that you've come into contact or had pleasure of spending time with?
The most influential person in my life, and who's probably my biggest mentor, is my mum. Now, we know we're going to get the R's, but just being real here, in that she is my biggest mentor, and I've learned more about life, business, and people from her more than anyone. Looking back, she's always been right about different people, different decisions are made, whether they're right or wrong. And her judgment is the one I trust most when it comes to any big life decision, or relationship, or business venture that I have. So she's had the most influence on me. Watching her, when I was growing up, watching her grow her mini empire, and seeing how hard she worked whilst also raising me and my sister and looking after the house overall, is inspirational to me, and it's still my biggest inspiration.
Yeah, do you find it's because they know you the best that they can have the biggest insight, obviously, and probably more so that you're like them in so many different ways, that they have context, they have, they would more likely think like you did at your age.
Yeah. You asked me earlier, what's the one trait I wish I had, and that's the ability to back off. And the reason I know I don't have that ability right now is because she doesn't have that ability. Like, she's just as bad as me, and a lot of her regrets in life come from that, and not being able to back off, and not being able to sometimes do other things, and things like travel, which is one of the reasons why I like traveling, is because she said to me she never had that chance to do it, and it was because she just immerse herself into business so much that she forgot about the other things sometimes. So there is that context that you talk about where a lot of my issues that I come to her with, like especially in business this year, when I said to her, like, I've got this really big problem. What do I do? And she's like, well, I've been through this exact same problem X amount of years ago. This is all you do. And it's having that experience, that knowing that, she's come out the other end of it in a positive state, that makes her advice more valuable and, extremely valuable.
It is quite relatable to, not in a very deep way, but in a way to a transformation, having a coach, isn't it? It's that product placement there. Sorry, using the RNT shaker. So I think it's very applicable to a transformation style, like having someone that's been through it, someone that knows and has empathy, that knows you and knows the context and can make the best decision or help you make the best decision. Is probably, if not the most important thing to have over that period of time, whether it's life, whether it's business, whether it's a goal, have it.
Yeah, it's exactly that. I mean, that's exactly the reason why I still have an online coach myself. And it's because, while I may know what I need to do, I still want the accountability. I still want that third eye, and I want the objectivity for someone to tell me, Akash, you're not doing it right, or Akash, you need to do this more, or I've been where you are now when you're pushing too hard and you need to back off. So having that objectivity is invaluable. And, I have that in business as well, and in life with, my closest friends and family. And I really do think it's critical to make progress in any area of your life.
Here's another part about the other things in your life. One thing that's on your bucket list that isn't fitness related.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's the one. I know you're doing something that's way, way more extreme, but mine is next year in 2019 to travel to 12 countries in 12 months. So I want to do one a month, and yeah, I think that'd be a really cool experience. The last 2 years I've done 8 each year, so I'm gonna aim for 12 next year. This year, actually, one of my biggest thing on the bucket list was to work remotely for a couple of weeks in Southeast Asia. So I'm happy I managed to achieve that at the end of the year.
Yeah, and how was it? How was the whole experience? Is it different to working from your lovely box office? It's because we had calls with you, and it was, you were on the beach, you're looking all like fantastic, obviously moderately lean. All the girls went wild on Facebook and Instagram. And you looked very, very chilled out and very happy, which I noticed compared to, whether you were coming back off just another call or whatever, different.
Yeah, I mean, that is very true. I mean, what I have realized is already since I'm back I've been back now for 5 days, and we're recording this 5 days after I've been back. And already I feel like if problems arise, it affects me so much more when I'm here. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the sun or if it's just having that breeze in the air from the waves, but there's something about being away that your problems don't feel as much as when you are here. So when you're at home, everything just feels more stressful. It just feels more like you're just stuck in that grind. Whereas when you're away, you just have a bit more, you're more relaxed, right? In terms of working, I don't know if it's the way forward. If I want to grow a business at the fastest rate possible, because I think you lack routine, and when you're away, you also want to see things, right? So you don't work as much as you should. But I do think it's a good way for a couple of weeks at a time to kind of gain perspective and reflect and be able to put things in place for when you get back to hit things fast when you're back in your normal routine. But what I did find is after like a week or so, I did miss my normal routine, and I did find the time difference to be a bit annoying. And you're 7 hours ahead for 2.5 weeks, which is, I mean, it's great in the morning because you can get a lot of work done without any distraction. But when you still got a lot of clients who are reporting into you, and the time difference becomes weird, you just find yourself on email at weird times and times you don't really want to be on email, like just before bed and late at night. So that aspect I didn't enjoy.
Perspective and looking back on things when you're away is is probably the key aspect of that.
Yeah, I mean the best part of the trip was that exactly that, and already I've gained a lot of insight from my year overall in what I need to improve on, what areas of the business we need to improve on, but what areas of my life I need to get better at, and you only get that from when you're, when you can look at things from afar, because when you're here and you're stuck in your normal routine, you're looking at like that tree you're looking at the tree trunk right at it, right? You're like 10 centimeters away from the tree trunk and you can't see the branches outside. Whereas when you're like away, you can see the branches. And when you see the branches, then you can make real decisions and have real insights on what's going to allow you to progress forward.
Good analogy there. Where'd you pick that one up from?
I remember reading it somewhere. About the benefits of travel. And it always kind of stuck with me, and it related. I think it's very relatable because the 2 trips I've had solo this year, when I went to Sicily and the recent one to Thailand, were both have been really insightful and given me, a lot of perspective that I wouldn't have otherwise had.
You got a squeaky chair there as well, by the way. Favorite drink? Just because Christmas is coming up, and if people want to send you stuff, then obviously we've got to make sure that they send you the right thing and not sending you bottles of white wine when you don't actually like white wine.
Yeah, red wine, Malbec. That's my favorite. From Mendoza in Argentina, if you want to be more specific.
Yeah. Magnum bottle, please. New Year's resolution, if you have one, or biggest thing you're going to implement next year from your reflection.
Yeah. So one thing, I mean, the goal I had was that the personal goal I had was a 12 in 12, which we've already discussed. But one thing I want to continue doing, which I've only just started actually this month, is journaling. And I've started keeping a written journal. And I started it just as I went to Thailand. So on the day I left, I started journaling. And it's something I did throughout, and it's something I've continued to do after. And I found it really grounding, and it's been a great way to start and end the day. So at the end of the day, I just write in my journal the top 3 things I want to do the next day. And this could be anything. So, it might be, okay, I'm going to write this piece of content. I'm going to have this meeting. I'm going to have this podcast with Nathan, and I'm going to enjoy time with my friends in the evening. Okay, so it might be those 2 things. And it just allows you to go to sleep with those 3 thoughts. And then when you wake up, you know exactly what you need to accomplish. And you're obviously going to have other things that you need to do in the day. But if you've ticked those 3 boxes off, then you've had a good day. And it's a real simple way of just kind of keeping yourself grounded, but at the same time, giving you small wins every day. And then at the start of the day, what I do is I wake up and I just kind of write whatever comes to mind. And most of my writing is done on the laptop, so this is a bit different. And I'm actually really enjoying just writing with a pen and paper and just writing about anything and whatever. And I know that this is written work that won't be published anywhere. It's completely non-judgmental. It's just literally just me and my thoughts. And I've got one of those minds that's very, I overthink a lot, and it's always working overdrive, which very well from all the emails that you get and the different messages. It never switches off. So this allows me to kind of just get it, let it all out. And it's something I want to carry on. And I don't know if it's a resolution, but it's more just a habit that I've started at the end of the year, and I want to carry on into 2019.
Fair enough. I did some gratitude logs back in Dubai, and that was really helped. At that time, really, when it was really stressful, doing gratitude stuff in the morning, what I was going to do in the day, and what I was going to accomplish by the end of the day. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So sometimes I do a bit of gratitude in there, but right now I've got no real structure with it, and I kind of like that because I'm usually so structured with what I do. Having that just kind of free flow writing is actually quite liberating.
Do you want to know an interesting thing about diarizing as well, or like writing? I was reading yesterday about a woman that proved that she was having really high PMS symptoms by showing her gratitude log or gratitude diary in a court of law and correlated her menstrual cycle with the diary entries, and she proved that when she changed from one pill to another pill, she got higher PMS symptoms, and then she got let off from trying to hit someone with a baseball bat, and she got let off and got asked to go on the different pill again instead of getting put in jail. So if you ever want anything, just diarize, and just you can just prove it in a court of law that your menstrual cycle is the most important thing in your aggression or any type of issue.
So if I ever go to court, this might come in handy then.
So yeah.
I'll definitely keep it going then.
So next thing is a Christmas present you're hoping for and why.
Oh, this is a tough one because I'm not really. I'm not really a materialistic guy, right? So, I mean, if you want to buy me a new watch, I'm all for that. Turn up.
What? I had it off. I wasn't speaking. I had it mute.
Yeah.
So that was it. Not a material.
No. It would be. I'll probably go for. So one of the things I was going for was a new notebook, but I got that already just before I left Thailand, which was quite nice. So I got a present at the Christmas meetup from a notebook, which was cool.
You got presents at the Christmas meetup? Whoa.
Yeah.
Flipping it.
Did you not?
My clients need to sort that out.
Yeah. I got some wine. I got a notebook.
Right. Anyone that is checking in with the Hitman on Monday, I'll send you my address. And I expect big things.
I got an amazing gift yesterday. I got through the post. Came from America. One of my clients got me a Manchester United t-shirt.
I hope it
timed it perfectly with the departure of Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, Mourinho on the back. Up the Liverpool.
But yeah, I mean, if we're being serious, I'd probably say I really enjoy like experiences that keep you in the moment. So things like one thing I did this year, which was really cool, was painting. I went to a painting class. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but it's really fun and it really keeps you in the moment, and it's almost like very meditative. So anything that allows that state of mind to be achieved is great. So
I actually booked onto a painting class, but it was, do you know when you're like 1 or 2 weeks out from a photo shoot and your head's just going everywhere? I actually booked on to be the model at one of those naked paintings because I was like, well, I'm lean, I'm just going to show it off and get people painted. No, because Rose, my ex-girlfriend, she got one done when she got really when she did her transformation. And I was like, oh, this would be a good idea. And she got like a painting of herself and stuff like that. And I thought, yeah, that's fantastic. Why not do that? Obviously, at 2 weeks out, I didn't know what I was thinking. So they're signed up for this modelling agency to sit and get the robe out and then unveil the robe and then just like show us what you got. And
oh my god!
Luckily, I never got the call back. It's the Batmobile.
Oh my god!
So, yeah, so luckily that never happened. But yeah, so that was my experience of painting. I never went and did.
Bloody hell, that would have been priceless.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious, wouldn't it? Right, next question.
What was your head at?
The same place. It was down the toilet, literally. Most influential thing that a transformation can give you in other areas of your life.
Okay, so the biggest one I'd say is confidence. And this is something I've been thinking about a lot. And I actually recorded a voice note that I was going to send you and Kunal about something that's very similar to this question. And I used to think that we were in the body transformation industry, right? But the more I think about it, what we're really doing is we're changing a lot of lives out there. And, we allow people to, fulfill their own potential and give them the confidence to do that, which is why I said confidence, because I think the way we do this is through the physical transformation. And then we use the physical being as a vehicle to transform every aspect of someone's life. So this isn't to say that we specifically work on finances, on business, on relationships, on mental health, on personal development, mindset, or whatever the domain is. We don't work with that directly. But what we do is we show that if you can conquer your body and your physical being, then you'll have the confidence and the courage to master any domain in your life. So you'll have that inward focus and the positive habits in place to be able to push yourself forward in any area you want to improve in. And I think the more I think about what we do at RNT, that's exactly it. Because, I'm in a position where we can speak to we're both in a position where we can speak to so many different people of all walks of life, and we see the benefits that they get. And when we hear about the benefits, it's very rarely that they say, I'm so happy that I've achieved this six pack, which, or I'm so happy I'm in the shape of my life, which, of course, there's a lot of it. And it's usually the reason they want to transform. But when you really speak to them and they dig deeper, it's usually a lot more than that. And the real benefits goes way beyond that, just the physical transformation. And that's why I think now that, what we do at RNT isn't just body transformation, we're changing lives.
Yeah, it's that transferable skills, isn't it? I mean, if you look at the people that do really, really successful in RNC, like Adam Goff, and like the guys like that, and as you said the other day when we were having a chat about property, about the people in the property business, they all have transferable skills that relate to a transformation. They just need the extra little push in the right direction. They all manage their diary very, very well. They always never waste time. They always prioritize. They always structure. They always have like an off switch somewhere, and they always have those transferable skills that then when pushed into a transformation, it just flows naturally. And then they get in the smooth of it and they find those habits. And the people that are in that mid ground, that 9 to 5, they don't quite have that structure and that routine that the big guys or the people in property or the people that, that have that structure innately because they run their own businesses or they manage their own time. That's the kind of skills that we give those 9 to 5ers or the 8 to 4. And then when you apply, structure and continuity and habits and then pushed in the right direction, you get amazing things in any walk of life, business, life, body, mindset, whatever you want to do. It always comes down to the transferable skills, and they're the basics. That's what we call the basics, right? The basics is meal prepping rather than 5 sets of 10 on the bench press.
But what meal prepping isn't, it's not just to be an annoyance or to kind of prep your food. It's what that symbolizes, right? And that's planning and preparation. And if you're planning and preparing your meals, you're more likely to plan and prepare your week and your other tasks that you have in your life. So it's exactly what you said, and that is transferable skills that you can take towards any area in your life that you want to improve. And the structure, discipline, the habits, the lifestyle that a positive transformation represents is very transferable. And I don't think there's many. I always refer to it as a vehicle, but I don't think there's many vehicles like the physical that enables you to create holistic change in your life.
It's the only place that has, when you look at emotional decision making and emotional attachment, we are very emotionally attached to the way that we look, the way that we're perceived and stuff. So there aren't that many things that can take you as far as a body transformation or just getting yourself in check or whatever that means to you, taking control of your body. So.
And it's also focusing on yourself. It's exactly that. And most people forget to focus on themselves. And, we're all guilty of it. And when you're doing a physical transformation, you have to focus on yourself and you have to spend time, eating the right foods, training, doing your cardio, getting your steps in. And then without that inward focus, you won't be able to tick all the boxes. And it's only through that innate focus in yourself that you can then work on other areas that need to be worked on.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's 22 questions done. And a nice way to end it on the physical being the vehicle for anything that you want to achieve.
100%. And that's exactly what we do at RNT.
Is there any questions that you wanted me to ask that I didn't ask? Favorite color?
It'd probably be the blue now.
Yeah.
No, they were really good questions, and I haven't really been asked them before. So, thank you.
I think a lot of people see you in a different light based on that. Now
not just the meathead, right?
Yeah. Yeah, just not just that guy who does RDLs and goes in the gym for 6 sets and then comes out and then sets boomerang emails to me and Canal.
and he's chicken and rice 5 times a day.
Yeah, well, you do. Apparently, you really like rice now, so. I'm sorry.
So you asked me what my favorite RNT transformation was. What's your one?
What is my first? Do you know what my favorite one was? Daksha.
Yeah.
And the reason why that is because everyone knows it's harder to get female transformations than males. Like the female transformations are the holy grail. 100%. Like, whilst we're not taking it away from you guys, it just is harder for females based on the calories and exercise that they have to do. And it was because it was ebbs and flows in terms of like there was always social events, there was always things that she had to manage, and she was not particularly, let's say, pre-qualified for it. It made it even more powerful that she got into amazing shape. And the fact that she took upon herself and did everything that she needed to when she had a busy life, whatever kids were, or various different things like that. It made it a lot more relatable to a lot of other people. I think if you can get people like that into shape and, then bought into the process, I think anyone can do it, really. So that was my favorite one.
Cool. So for those of you listening, this is going out on Boxing Day, I believe.
Yeah. So if you're eating and listening to the RNT podcast and you've got a check-in on the 27th or 28th of December, put the mince pies down.
If Christmas is over.
Yeah, it's over.
This will be the last podcast of 2018. So wishing you all a very happy new year, and a big thank you for everyone who's listened throughout the year and, been a great support to all of us at RNT. And we're looking forward to taking it to the next level in 2019.
Oh, wait, I missed one question. What was your favorite podcast of the year?
Oh, probably episode 51, the team episode that we did recently. I think that was probably the best feedback we've ever had from a podcast.
It was generally the beard technique.
Yeah, it started for 10 minutes talking about beards, which I thought was funny. It had a good balance between banter and laughs and value as well at the same time. I thought it was a really good one. Another one that would always be special to me now is just episode 44, mainly because it was the first one I'd done alone, and as in I hosted it alone, and that's when I took over the podcast myself, and it just proved something to myself that I can do the podcast, which is something I thought I couldn't before. So that'll always be special to me, and hopefully, given the feedback, I think so far so good.
Yeah, people aren't saying, "Oh, yeah, you're really good to sleep too." Oh, yeah, you're really good before bed.
Well, that too.
Right.
Cool. So like I said before, a big thank you to everyone who's listened in this year and supported us, and we're looking forward to bigger and better things in 2019. Happy New Year.